man. Party people in the place to be. It's about that time for us to. Yeah.
What's up, chiropractors? This is Dr. Nick Silveri, your guide up the mountain to $1 million practice. If you're looking for the roadmap to grow your practice fast, then keep on listening. This is the Path to $1 Million podcast, where I chat with today's most successful practicing chiropractors. And remember, if you want to get there faster, visit getmemorenewpatients.com to find out more about LVRG Media, the most comprehensive digital marketing agency for chiropractors on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Path to $1 Million podcast. I am your host, Dr. Nick Silveri with LVRG Media. I am here with my new best friend, Dr. Barbara Eaton, with the 56-day boot camp to double your business. And we recently met, and we just instantly became best friends, I feel like. So tell everybody that doesn't know who you are a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your journey of where you how you've gotten to where you are now, and then we'll kind of dive into some topics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to give you a huge shout out, Nick. Like, it was instant friendship. And if you don't know this guy,
best friendship,
instant best friendship.
Yeah.
It's easy to tell who somebody really is when their first drive is to provide value. And so Nick just immediately cut to the chase and gave me some honestly great pointers about my own brand, and has just been delivering value and delivering value and delivering value. So I just encourage all of you, stay connected to this guy. He is the real deal and just genuine. I don't want to use the word authentic, just genuine. So thank you so much. And thank you for already caring for the people I've been referring to you at such a high level. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Thanks. So my journey, it started just like a lot of chiropractors. I graduated from chiro school, maybe a little different. I was pregnant and had a toddler. So I was a busy girl. I went to Logan.
Oh, me too. Nice.
Yeah. Graduated in the late 90s, 97. And after graduating, finally gave birth to my daughter, and then decided I'm ready to open a practice. So just like motherhood, I had never babysat. Like, my first babysitting job was the night Samson was born. So I'm like the person that just jumps in and figures it out. And in business, I decided, though, I don't want to do things that way. Like, if I'm going to have to learn how to be successful in business in order to serve my community, at some point I'm going to have to learn. I might as well learn at the beginning. So I hired my coach 5 months before I opened my practice. I didn't even have an office space, but I wanted to. Say it again.
Where were you opening at, your office?
Yep. In a town of 5,000 people in southeastern Michigan.
Nice.
So just a little small farming community. It's barely on the map.
My first office was in a town of 4,500. So
yeah. And it was great. I just encourage all of you that if someone tells you can't open in a small town, just tell them, liar, liar, pants on fire. Yes, I can. I can do whatever I want, and make a huge impact. So that's one thing I'm about, is dominating your lane. And that's what I did in my practice. So I opened in December of 98.
I interrupted you, and I'll interrupt you again just to get you back. Yeah. You said you hired your coach 5 months before you opened.
Yep. And then I opened. Yeah. So in those 5 months, I had my systems in place. I did role playing. I learned what it was going to take in order to be successful in practice before being there. Yeah. Kind of seems to make sense, right? So opened my practice and went from 0 to 180 office visits a week in 89 days.
Wow.
Simply applying what I learned, right? I learned and executed. And then just kept executing. For those of you who feel like you're all over the place, you probably are, because you really don't know what makes the biggest impact in your business. Right. And I will tell you, it's the consistent execution of your systems. Garrett Gunderson, who is a great friend of mine and a mentor, he describes financial independence, which is what the boot camp is about, is helping women drive to financial independence quickly. Yep. Your relationship capital plus your mental capital. And your mental capital is your ability to consistently apply what you learn, right? Consistently apply that which you learned. And then your relationship capital is making sure that the people that you're rubbing shoulders with aren't on the same playing field as you, always level up. If you're the wealthiest person in the room, you are in the wrong room.
All right. So 180 visits inside of the first 90 days.
Yep.
How big did you build that practice to?
Yep. So when I sold it to my associate, we were consistently serving about 400 a week.
And how many years was that before you sold the practice?
Just under 6.
6. So we are kindred spirits. So I've never gotten to 400 a week, but I stopped seeing patients 5 years into it because I realized I was better at the marketing side of it and the business building. And that was the part that really gave me energy. And I was able to find associates that really enjoyed the treating side of it. So for all those doctors that are kind of in that season of life where they've grown to a big practice, they're looking for a little bit more freedom. Tell me a little bit about that process of bringing on the associate, grooming them to buy it, and then eventually selling and exiting that way.
So the word I really picked up on there was freedom.
Yes.
Right. So there's this philosophy that I want to get my practice to such a point that then I can take my hands off my practice and just have people in it.
Yeah.
So here's what I want all of you to do. Create a life you don't want to escape from. Mm-hmm. I didn't have associates because I hated caring for people. Yeah. I had associates because it's my duty, my responsibility, and my obligation to provide opportunities for additional people. So my associates were phenomenal clinically. They weren't business people. I'm a badass businesswoman, and that's what I have every intention of always growing in my ability to create value through people through better business. Right. And so if you're in that season where you're looking for associates because you want more freedom, first stop and ask yourself, what does freedom look like? Because freedom is different for everybody. It's kind of like and you've talked to them too, docs I talk to, they're like, I just don't want to worry about money. I'm like, time out. Because whether you have a lot or you have a little, money is the energy by which we live this life, right? If you want to travel the world, you better have a lot of energy in the form of money, right? If you want to send your kids to private school, you better provide a lot of value and create energy, and you get paid for that value. So freedom is personal. Make sure that your freedom signature matches you. Freedom for me is, I live in Alaska. Only 3% of Alaska can be accessed by road. So it's quickly for me to get off grid. That's my freedom. That's what I love to do. When we have vacation time, we don't leave Alaska. I want to be right here. Yeah. So that's another thing I think is really important. You and I talked about that on the way to Paul's house, is living in a life, living in an environment that feeds your soul, whether that's in a city like where you are or here out in God's country in Alaska.
Yeah, we are in different places for sure.
Yeah.
So did you hire your, because when I sold my first practice, because I've had 2 practices, I still own my second one, but my first one I sold, and I hired the associate with the intention of selling it. Did you do that, or did it just kind of evolve into that?
Yes, it evolved into that. I ended up going through a divorce and moving out of state. Well, moved out of state is kind of a last ditch effort to try and save the marriage. It's just, I didn't know there was a girlfriend on the other end waiting for my husband, which that tends to kind of destroy marriage. And so, Dr. James, the awesome thing about, and that's who bought my practice as my associate, we both valued each other so much. I loved the fact that he cared for my practice members as if they were his own. I could rely on him 100% clinically. Yeah. That's what he was really good at. He could rely on me 100% business-wise to know that he was going to have plenty of people to care for. And so we worked beautifully together. An associate wouldn't work if they were just going to be a clone of me.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. I've had multiple times in business and life where that has just been such a problem. It's so good to find a yin to your yang.
Yeah, absolutely. And 2 of me means one of us is unnecessary. Right. And I just want to encourage all of you that You absolutely can create a culture. So there are 3 requirements of a leader, and these go in order of importance. Like number 1 is casting vision. Your team and your people and your community need to be able to follow and be able to see where you're going because of the vision that you're casting. Right. That means you have to know where you're going and what you want to accomplish and the legacy that you want to leave. It's kind of like, think about a big vat of water. Like what do you want to be throwing into that water such that you create a ripple effect? Like what is that stand? Or like I explained it on a coaching call today, and this kind of leads to avatar. If you took a flag and you punched it into the ground, what do you want that flag to stand for? That it's attracting everyone in your community. And some of those people will be your ideal practice members. Others will just be like, drifters. But what is that you're making a stand for? In my business, it's building badass female chiropractors who are instinctively successful, that are driving hard every day to financial independence and freedom. That's my flag that I have put in the ground. Doesn't mean that men aren't included in the boot camp. It just means that's not my messaging. Yeah. So casting vision, that's one of the first requirements of being a successful leader. The second is that you can hold individuals accountable, starting with yourself. Mm-hmm. That you have metrics that your business, like cadence, like your cadence of operations in your business, your cadence of your goals. What does that look like? And are you holding yourself and others accountable? And then the third is creating culture. What does your brand stand for? What is the culture in your business? And those 3 things are so critical in order to create a team that cares as much about your brand as you do. And if you feel like your people aren't invested in your brand, check in with yourself on those 3 items.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about avatar, and like we were talking before, and it's not, men can get tons of value out of the 56-day boot camp, but because your messaging, because your focus, because your energy is all going towards creating badass female chiropractors, you attract people that want to become badass female chiropractors. Yeah. And as a male chiropractor, it's hard to become a badass female chiropractor. So if they don't resonate with that messaging, they may just be like, listen, I want to learn from Barb regardless of whether I'm a female or not. But you've got to like fight through the messaging to like get through to the other side. What is it that chiropractors aren't understanding when it comes to creating an avatar?
It's scarcity, right? It's an abundance mentality versus a scarcity mentality. Of, they don't want to say I'm specifically aligned and trained to serve pediatrics from the age of birth to 3 years old, because then they think that, then no one else can come in. Right. That's not true. It just means like, this is who I'm speaking to. Like right now, all of my messaging, it's for the baller women. Mm-hmm. Like the competitives. That's who I know I'm best suited to serve. Now, it doesn't mean that others aren't, like everyone is as driven as I am. That's not what it means at all. It just means that's my messaging. That's my authentic voice. Yeah. So to do anything but my authentic voice is going to be less energy for all of you, and you deserve more than that. So those who are most authentic have just natural energy. And so I think that part of the reason that chiropractors don't want to plant that flag is this mentality of, if you have a spine, come into my office.
Yeah. And they're worried about losing out on opportunities. Those opportunities will still be there. Like you'll still meet somebody at the networking event and tell them you're a chiropractor and they have low back pain. But it's like you said, what was it? Create a life that you're not trying to escape from. Create a practice that like gives you energy every day. Like if most chiropractors, the average chiropractor sees 100 people a week-ish. And if all 100 or 90, you said you had 93% females in the boot camp. If of those 100 visits that the average chiropractor sees, if 93 of them were the ideal, perfect patient, they would get so much energy. And then because they were so energetic, the people that were around, whether it's like athletes or whether it's 0 to 3, the moms are going to see that passion and they're going to want to be a part of that.
Yes.
You know?
And
that's when it grows, but you got to start somewhere. And we were just talking about a chiropractor that was like, they used to be the one person that was like them in their community. And now there's more of those people. And it's like, the message seems like it's getting lost, but it's like, no, you're just not getting the message out to the people that you're trying to communicate with.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how I train this is every Facebook post, every Facebook Live you do, every email, write to your avatar.
Yeah.
Write as if this message is only to them. Speak as if this message is only to them. And then people will come to your message. They'll come to your light. So the whole idea of, fear of missing out, of, well, what if I plant my flag and then I don't have enough people?
Right.
Or what if I'm at a screening and I don't really like caring for Medicare, but someone comes? It's called relationship capital. Refer.
Right. 100%.
Refer to another chiropractor.
My girlfriend she's an attorney, and she has built her firm on this exactly. Is she just wants to be the facilitator. She did a networking event one time with this guy. His whole job was he worked for a big law firm. His whole job was just to go out, have coffee, be friends with people, be nice to people, and then find out what is it that you need, and then let me find you the perfect person for that. And then guess who gets credit for that? He does.
Yeah.
And so she was like, when that flipped a switch in her mind, and now she is just the master connector. She's always looking for ways to connect people, and then she gets the goodwill from that without having to do a lot of the work.
Well, and go back to energy, Nick.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can still serve you because I connected you to the right person. Right? So I'm still serving you. I'm still fulfilling my purpose, even in a better way, because I found out who you are. And this person over here is going to serve you better. So for those of you who do networking, here's the ninja question to beat all questions when you're networking. So it sounds like this. How would I know if the person I'm talking to is a great candidate for your business?
Mm-hmm.
Sell me on your business, because at networking events, we're all trying to sell each other. Sign up to be their biggest fan. And it's like one of the weeks in the boot camp, I teach about strategic partnerships. Mm-hmm. And strategic partnerships, you sign on to be another business owner's biggest fan. I want to make you look so good. Will you give me that opportunity?
Yeah. And
that's exactly what your girlfriend is talking about. Malcolm Gladwell talks about it. Can't remember if it's in Outliers or The Tipping Point, that there's mavens and connectors. So your mavens are your trendsetters, mm-hmm. and your connectors are people who connect each other, which is relationship capital. I am the bomb at relationship capital. So if you want to be connected to people, you want to know me. I promise you.
I connect agree. People. I've already met more people because I've known you. So that kind of leads into the thing that I really was blown away when we first met was, and I always like to talk, I told you this earlier, I always like to talk to people about things that resonate with me, because usually if they resonate with me, they resonate with a lot of other people too. And the thing that I really picked up on when we first met was just how much energy you have. You are just a ball of energy and happiness, and it makes other people happier. It makes them want to be around you. You give the best hugs. You're just always smiling and happy to talk to people. And up on stage, you were just you were lighting it up, because you brought that to, and it wasn't okay, we were just talking about this as well. Sometimes people on stage are very much different than off stage. And it wasn't as if there was okay, energetic Barb on stage, not energetic Barb off stage. It was not a show. It was this is who you are. And I think it has a lot to do with you building your life. I mean, I'm sure you have natural energy like that, but when you build your life the way that you want it, that comes out. So talk to me about for people I am not a naturally outgoing extroverted person. I can be, but it's I think it's called an ambivert, when they're not really an introvert, not really an extrovert, but being an extrovert over time will just wear you down. right? Like after Chiro Fest, I had to just like rest for a couple of days because I was just on the whole time. So tell me, like, what is it that allows you to like stay at that level?
So that's the misconception, right? So I remember, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, there was this discussion in a women's group about women labeling themselves as introverts because after they'd been practicing all day, they just felt drained.
Right.
That's called service.
Sure.
Right? Like that's called leaving it all on the field. That's called giving it 1,000%. That's called being obsessed, right? Like, why do anything halfway? That's average. Like, I'm gonna throw up when I think of being average. That is not anything to do with any part of my life. It's all in massive action. You know what? Because that's how I want you to be in relationship with me. I don't want my husband to be like, you know what, babe, I'm going to give it about average. Not with me or not. Like, that's not how I roll. I'm all in. And so I think that we have to look at, like, my parents taught me, like, always like turn the tables and how would you want to be treated, right? Treat others how you would want to be treated. So after Chiro Fest, I had to recharge too. But here's, I think the difference is I know how to do it fast.
Got it.
Because I know myself. You know, like watching TV doesn't recharge my batteries. Being out in this environment and being with my husband recharges my batteries. Like making this unavailable, which is super easy to do in Alaska, that recharges me. And so I think individuals who feel consistently worn down, it's because they don't know how to plug in fast to get built back up, and or they're parts of their life that really don't serve them.
Got it. I like what you said about like, why would you want to be average? What, like you deal with a lot of chiropractors, and you know, I talk to a lot of chiropractors, and I think what a lot of chiropractors don't understand when they're talking to coaches, or it's kind of like patients. It's like the person that came in with the low back pain thinks they're like the only one with the low back pain, like with that specific problem that you've ever seen. And it's like, I've seen a million of you. I know what's going to work. That's why we put you on a care plan. And like, you're probably going to stay within this 80% of like how fast you get better and what works for you and blah, 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 blah. And it's the same way with chiropractic when you're like coaching someone, or if you have like a service-based business like what I have, where you get to talk to a bunch of individuals that are kind of doing the same thing. But what I recognize is the ones that are really crushing it, I swear like 80% of it is attitude. It's just they don't get pissed at every single thing that goes wrong. They know how to like lead their team, and it's like they have a generally good outlook on everything. Like not just like what they're doing with me, but just like everything in their practice or their life or whatever. And if they're successful in this one thing, they're usually successful in this other thing. And what you said was the execution is what leads to that success. And I almost feel like if you've got a good attitude and you're willing to execute on a plan that someone else is giving you that has been proven to work, there's like a 95% chance that you're going to be successful. So what is it, like you deal with more chiropractors than I do. What is it that you think keeps people from jumping from the ordinary to the extraordinary?
So this is going to be an answer you probably aren't anticipating.
Okay.
It's selfishness.
In what way?
Worrying so much about what other people think about them that they fail to step up big. Like I can't say as though I've ever been nervous about public speaking.
Right.
Because it's not about me.
Right.
It's about like, I put a lot of pressure on myself because there's a life in the audience that needs my message. And I want to make sure I convey it in such a way that it causes a transformation. Right. Never information, a transformation. Like, and if you remember at Chiro Fest, I started my talk by saying, like Christy Wick had said to all of us, set your intention. And my intention was to help 50 people feel better about themselves, to feel like they were the most important person there that weekend. So it's the eye contact, it's the energy, it's the hug, it's looking at them, you know, in the eye. And it's because it's not about me. Like when somebody is unhappy, it's because they've made their life all about them. And like, I'm not slamming millennials, and it's not really your fault. Like, we've created a culture as if the planet revolves around you. That's too much responsibility for any person to have, to think that everyone is out there to make your life better. Right. Your life is better because you pour into others. Mm-hmm. And so it really and truly, you know, like the individual who's like always pissed off, or, you know, like something doesn't work, they hire you as their agency to grow their business, and in 30 days it hasn't totally transformed. Yeah. Right? Like they're making it about them versus the people out there that are waiting to come in to their practice. As well, like, cut yourself some slack. It's not going to be a home run every time. Like, you're going to have a whole bunch of failures. I promise you, Nick and I have heard no more than you can ever imagine. But it's only no, it's 2 letters, like, big deal. So the, you know, rejection proofing yourself, I have to believe everyone is cheering me on. Like, I literally believe everyone wants to meet me and everyone is cheering me on, because that's how I feel about them too.
Well, and that's the thing that you can control. Like, that's the, like, all you can control is like how you interpret the world. So if you take it into life is happening for me, not to me, then all of a sudden, seeing everything opportunity, not as a roadblock or an obstacle.
And even if the things don't go, I never lose. I either win or I learn. Right? That's a Grant Cardone. I never lose. I either win or I learn. And so there are challenging, you know, it's kind of like I'm looking out my window and there's this amazing hike called Mount Magnificent. It will kick your ass, right? Mm-hmm. But if I just want easy, I'll walk here on the road. But if I want to challenge myself and see the world from a different vantage point, it's going to hurt a little bit. There are things I'm going to learn. I could fall down part of that trail. I have fallen down part of that trail. Right. But the fact that I've gotten to see that view is worth it. Right. And so I just encourage those of you who are listening to this who maybe feel like, well, Barb, you don't get it. I've got this, I've got that, blah, 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 blah. I get it. 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 Be the best that's happened to you, not the worst.
Yeah. And we just have to avoid the brown bears.
They have long claws.
Yeah. Barb was telling me a story about her husband and his friend, like, almost getting murdered by a brown bear. I'm like, I am not going to Alaska anytime soon.
It's so exciting, though. If you
right,
walk
so
down the street down below where you
kind of
are,
mentioned the 56 day.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No. Sorry, the internet's a little bit shaky, but go ahead. Sorry.
I just said you have all kinds of brown bears down there on that road in the form of big motors attached to wheels with crazy people behind the wheel. Also, I'd much rather be out in the bears. They're more predictable.
No, that's probably true. Yeah. All right. So we've kind of mentioned the 56-day boot camp to double your business, and it's the way that you explained it to me was that it was the Netflix of chiropractic training. So tell me a little bit about the structure of it. I remember when we first met, I was a little bit confused by the 56-day part. So kind of explain that and how it's like grown into what it is today.
Yeah, you know, and this is a really great, so my coach, Rich Christensen, has a book called The Zigzag Principle, and it's about zigzagging our way through life and really through business. Like, the first zig in business gets you to profitability. Then, and that person is like head down, nose to the grindstone, drive to profitability. Then we do like a turn and we go to resources. Yeah. And when we add resources, that individual is not the same as nose to the grindstone, right? That person is cheering on their team and building their team and adding resources. Then once we add resources, the next zag that we get to is scale. And even though like the chiropractic practice is difficult to scale because we deliver an adjustment, we can still scale, and that person is totally different than the first 2 individuals. So, and the reason I'm bringing this up is it's okay to pivot in your business. So that's what happened with the 56-day chiropractic boot camp. So I started coaching chiropractors within 6 months of opening my practice. I obviously did very, very well by God's grace and by a lot of hard work, and saying no. So here's a really important thing about success. I had someone say to me the other day, I wish I made the money you did. And I said, you have to have the discipline to say no.
Yeah.
I have tremendous discipline to say no to those things that don't align with where I'm headed. And that's really one of the biggest keys to success, is the discipline to say no. So at any rate,
but you also need to, like what you said earlier, you got to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, everything's an opportunity.
Yeah. Every invitation is not an opportunity that you need to pursue. It's like going down the highway. Do you get off on every single exit? Because man, that would take a really long time. Not if you know where you're going. You're only going to get off on that exit. And that's just like life. So when I started the 56-day chiropractic boot camp, I started April 17th, 2017. And the reason I did it is I wanted to reach more lives and be able to bring down the price point while still serving at an extraordinary level. And I didn't want to just have one-on-one coaching. So I started the boot camp. It was 8 topics and 7 days of training per topic. Each training lasted anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes. And it wasn't to teach you everything I knew about that topic. It was to give you the biggest levers to pull, the biggest steps to take in order to bring that thing into your practice, whether it's referrals or mindset or Tabor Smith spinal hygiene or Matthew Luke Facebook ads or Robin Hale compliance or Dan McCoy tech subluxation. It's to give you the biggest things in that area to be able to check it off your list, like, yep, that's good in my practice. So what happened was, and then you would have 90 days to complete the 56 days of training. Well, I was learning so much about online business and growing and scaling that I then was building my relationship capital and meeting all of these other experts. And I would ask them, just like I asked you, hey, I love what you stand for. I love what you've taught me. Will you create training, a week of training for my tribe in your area of expertise? And just like you said yes, everyone has said yes to me, because that's how life works. And so then it became massive and extremely comprehensive. So I kept the brand because it's the message. It's a boot camp. It's get in, go hard. So everyone goes at their own pace, but I say this, go fast and break things.
Yeah. So within the training, you can get on there. You can watch what you want to watch. If you want to learn about compliance, if you want to learn about day 1, day 2, whatever, you can get in there and like learn from some of the best. And then there's also like a Facebook group and like coaching, like group coaching with you. I would imagine that there's like office hours. So talk about that a little bit in terms of like accessibility and what they get.
Yeah. So when you join the boot camp, I don't hold anything hostage and hold anything back. I don't drip the content to you. You get access to everything. I do make it easier in that I give every single boot camper a customized journey through the trainings. Like, hey, Nick, you said you wanted to accomplish this, because every boot camper, you can't click and join. You got to talk to me. Just like this, I've done over 700 calls in less than 2.5 years with chiropractors all over the world, getting to know them to make sure it's a fit. So if you're a fit, I'll welcome you in. If you are not, I promise I will connect you with somebody who is a better fit than what the boot camp is. So you get the chiropractic Netflix, it streams, so you can access it from anywhere at any time. It's for you and your entire team. It also is delivered via podcast, which is only the boot camp trainings and only for boot camp members. Then our private Facebook group is an incredible tribe of individuals who are committed to lifting one another up and supporting and helping one another, which that led then to a Dropbox as well. So everyone in the boot camp puts their marketing, their flyers, their forms, their manuals. Everyone just shares. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then I do a live. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's mainly because you are the leader and you're just like, you're bringing all these resources together. And so I think that they feel that. And so they want to be a part of that.
It's total abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Andrea, she practices She's been in practice a long time, and she's pediatrics and pregnancy specialist. She does Facebook Live with interviews with other chiropractors in her niche in her town, because she's like, there's no way I can serve everybody. And every child needs to be checked by a chiropractor. So can I do an interview with you so that they can get to know you as well? That's the kind of abundance mindset that is pervasive within the boot camp. So if you have a crappy attitude and you know you want it to change and you don't know how, it's probably joining our tribe. And then we do a live group coaching call just like this via Zoom every single week. So your boot camp membership is not private coaching with me. However, you'll probably get sick of me because I'm always in your face, whether it's in the Facebook group or it's on the live group coaching call. I do offer private coaching, but it's only to boot campers, and there's only a select few spots every year that open up.
That's great. Man, I feel like we covered a lot, between your ex-husband's girlfriend all the way to well, Barb, I am super pumped to we're only at the start of our relationship journey, and I've already had such a good time hanging out with you. This was a great time, and I would just strongly recommend that anybody check out the 56-day boot camp, see if it's something that resonates with you. But I couldn't be a bigger fan of you and what you're bringing to the profession. So I hope that you just continue to prosper and live that abundance lifestyle.
Oh, thank you. Can I say one thing?
You can.
So I want to encourage all of you to be vulnerable. So when Nick and I first met, we were just standing in the vendor area at Chiro Fest, and I was sharing with him, I was just kind of frustrated about a live event I'm putting on. And he intently listened. I was vulnerable about things that I'm not really sure about. I don't have everything figured out. And it was one thing that he said about messaging that it literally has totally changed my attitude. And I immediately pivoted and changed the messaging about the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Boot Camp instead of calling it a summit. And so the reason I'm encouraging all of you to be vulnerable is you never know when the person that you're talking to, because you don't act like you have everything figured out. If you have everything figured out, you are so far above me. I do not. Right. But I avail myself to individuals who are so much smarter than I am. If nothing else, they know people I want to know. Yeah. And Tabor actually introduced Nick and I. We had that conversation, and now all of these other amazing things are happening. And so if you haven't had a strategy session yet with Nick, seriously, get on the phone with him. This guy is a genius when it comes to marketing strategy, which is way different than an idea. It's strategy, and he will listen to what you're saying and not just try to push you into a certain compartment, but will really listen to what do you want to accomplish, and this is the roadmap to do it.
Well, man, I couldn't thank you enough for that. I mean, we didn't plan that one, but I appreciate it. Yeah. One thing I will say about that vulnerability thing, though, is me especially, I love solving problems, especially when it's something that's already in my head. I already know it. It costs me nothing to be okay, because the one thing I would say that I'm really good at is taking information, rearranging it, and being here's what I think. I'm just good at quickly doing that, right? Yeah. And when you can do that for somebody and you can give them a perspective that they haven't thought of before, just fresh eyes or just a new way of looking at things, I love solving problems. I don't always love being the person that then has to go and do steps 1 through 9,000 to actually solve the problem. But I love coming up with the way to solve it. And I think most people are like that when you're talking to them about something that's in your wheelhouse. So that vulnerability thing is the key, because if they don't know how to help you, how are they going to help you?
Yes. You know? Yes. And so if you want bigger problems solved, increase your vulnerability. I have people who solve huge problems for me simply because I don't know. I'm here it is. What do you do with that? And they're well, what about this? I'm right on, let's do it.
Right. And it's about that, leveling up your relationships and the rooms you're in and the people that you're around. And so it all comes full circle.
Yes.
Well, Barb, I like so appreciate your time. This has been so much fun. I wish you didn't have a hard stop right now because I would just keep going because it's just been an amazing value. So if you are looking to find out more information about the 56-day boot camp, what's the best place that they can get a hold of you?
Yep. So let's get on the phone together. It's no cost. It's like Nick does a strategy session. It's not to sell you. Like literally, I got to make sure that you got what it takes to be in my tribe. I pour everything into my tribe. And so I am extremely selective with who I let in. As well, you should be extremely selective with who you're following as a mentor. So the best place to do is go 56daychirobootcamp.com/apply. You'll answer a couple questions, choose a spot on my coaching schedule. We'll get on a Zoom call just like this, and we'll know each other. And at the end, if I'm confident I can help you, I'm going to pitch you, and I'll give you an opportunity to join our tribe or to send you to a resource that can help you.
And when you say 56, it's 5-6, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
56 Day Chiro.
56-day Chiro Bootcamp.com. /apply.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, Barb. Well, I appreciate it. And anything I can do for you in the future, please let me know. And man, if I could, if I can learn anything from you, it's going to be how to have as much energy as you do.
Well, I greatly appreciate you too. And thanks so much for already having just poured so much value into my life and that of my tribe. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk to you on the next one. Guys, we will see you on the next episode of Path to a Million podcast. We'll talk to you later.
Just because this episode is over doesn't mean you can't continue your path to $1 million practice. We've created chiropractic's most full-service marketing agency at LVRG Media to help you reach $1 million a year fast and continue to grow. You can get a free strategy session with me absolutely free right now. To get started, go to getmemorenewpatients.com. Once again, go to getmemorenewpatients.com, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Path to a Million podcast.